Welcome to the No Budget Indie Filmcast, where we dip into the independent film universe to highlight those little films that you might not have heard about elsewhere. Will you agree with our panel? Or will our panel agree with each other? Tune in to find out. I am Mila Dennison, and with me, as always, is Claire Milan.
Hello.
And Cathal Feeney.
Hello.
All right, Claire, what did we watch this week?
So this week we sat down to watch a film called 82. It is directed by Calum Macdiarmid, and it is written by Alexei Slater, with additions by Calum Macdiarmid, and it's starring Nick Moran. So it's about a seemingly humble, unassuming postman named Nick is delivering mail as usual on his route, but as he walks and contemplates which pieces of mail to steal or throw out, his thoughts reveal a darker mind at work underneath the quiet exterior. As it turns out, Nick isn't unlike the very neighborhood that he delivers mail for. So it's kind of, I suppose I describe this film as a dark comedy. And it is like in the blurb underneath the film. It's about a postman, and he's delivering mail to each of these houses and commenting on the mail. And he's kind of a dark character. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but it's a really interesting film. And what I absolutely love about this film was the voiceover, the narration. I thought he was there was a terrific he's a terrific actor. I think his name is Nick Moran. He plays a guy called Mick, but his name is Nick Moran. And just his voice and the voiceover, he's like a villain. He's a villain postman, and I thought it created a lovely atmosphere. And even the up close shots of him walking, and it's kind of in slight slow motion as well, and just describing each of the houses. And then there's a big, it wouldn't be a twist, but an ending I didn't expect, which gave me a fright. But I thought it was very clever, very atmospheric, with a brilliant actor and brilliant voiceover. And yeah, it's certainly very dark as well. So what do you guys think of it?
Yeah, I agree, Claire. It is very clever, especially because, we all have these voices in our heads that are kind of going, and you imagine as a postal carrier, it probably does get a bit boring after a while of just delivering the mail, and you're seeing the stuff, and you probably do create little stories and stuff. And that's the way it starts off, is you're kind of thinking, okay, I can see why he's doing this. But then he does the thing where he tears the one up, and then he's kind of like talking smack about people, and you're like, okay, well, he's kind of a dick postal carrier then. And so you see all these little bits that kind of build up to that ending. And like you said, it is an interesting ending, but it's not really, it's not like a stupid twist ending where you're like, where'd that come from? It's an ending where you're like, okay, I can see where that came from, but I didn't see it coming, which is nice. So hopefully now people aren't thinking about the ending more so than the film when they watch it, because I went into it, I hadn't read the blurb or anything, I just watched it from scratch, but it does a really good job of having that voice in your head carry the story via the voiceover done in the film. And the performance in the main character is really quite fantastic.
And you know what, actually, it's funny, I was walking out of my house in Dublin the other day, and the postman came along, and he was giving out, because everyone left their bins out right in the middle of the footpath, and he just looked at me. He was like a character like this. I was like, it's an absolute disgrace, all these bins, really grumpy. So you do think, when they're delivering to all these houses, what they do think of us, and what is he delivering? I thought it was very clever, and the way he got inside his head as well,
Yeah.
Well, this film is all about the ending.
Yeah.
Well, not really, no. I really like this film, and I thought it was a very good, clever idea for a film, but it was also really well directed and acted and edited, so it sort of ticked all the boxes in that regard. So, and like just I mean, particularly the way it was edited, I guess, you just showed this kind of fleeting images of things. And I don't know, I watched it again just before we came on here, right? And I noticed something that I hadn't seen the first time. And, I don't know, spoiler alert, but it was just a slightest little glimpse at a sign that said neighborhood watch,
Yeah.
See, I noticed that too the second watch through, but I wasn't going to say anything because I didn't want to spoil it for
It's all right.
Yeah, well, well, you know what? I'm going to invoke the spirit of our postman here, and screw the audience, watch the film. Sorry, I don't mean that. I don't mean that. Watch the film and then listen to the review.
Yeah.
And then like the kind of seeing the flashbacks and him imagining sort of things happening that didn't happen, and I got the feeling that, well, not everybody, but the people he saw, like the women, for instance, I see women, they knew what was happening, and that what was going to happen, say. And then the elderly woman who kind of comes up and gives him the envelope, she wanted to look into his eyes, get a smile at him, knowing what was coming down the tracks. But yeah, it was kind of flawless. And the very, very ending, I love the last shot as well. If you remember that. He seemed to have a particular interest in the trees. I know that they kept showing up the trees, but even in the opening shot, he was like a kind of I don't know, some sort of outlaw,
Yeah,
as
it
he's
was like
kind
a
of
Western
standing.
or something. It was like,
Yeah,
it was
no,
like,
yeah, like a Western, yeah. He's coming into
yeah.
the village, the sleepy, quiet, town, and he's going to shoot them up. But yeah, it was good.
And even the way he smokes a cigarette, like this picture behind me, and it's just but the whole, it was so clever. And it was only I think it was only over 6 minutes long, so I watched it twice as well, and seeing those little details the second time, it was
Yeah.
just very clever. And it was just a perfect length. Like, if it was any longer, it would dragged on. It's really kind of a very satisfying watch, I describe it as.
Yeah, that's really definitely goes to the edit
Mm.
on this one of getting that length
Oh yeah.
right and the cuts and all that kind of stuff. But it's funny because at first you just think, okay, he's just some grumpy postal carrier, and you're like, okay, I can understand that. But then as it evolves, you're like, okay, he's worse than a grumpy postal carrier, and it's great. And then you watch it the second time around, and you see all these little clues and items
Mm.
that kind of lead up to it, which is really nice. So it's unfortunate for our audience that'll probably already be looking for these clues because we've talked about them. But if you go into it without knowing anything about it and then watch that second time, it makes that second viewing actually much better, I think, than the first viewing, in my opinion.
I think it's
Yeah.
shot in slow motion slightly, isn't it? I think it's a slight,
Oh.
but it's very clever. Like, even the cinematography wise, the framing,
Mhm.
it's just very clever because it really suits the tone of the film and adds to it, and the whole suspense as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing as well, I mean, this is only made in 2012. It doesn't seem that long ago, but it does seem kind of dated already. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
for
he talks
instance,
about,
Well, that's
yeah.
over
I know
10
he
years
talks about
ago, Cathal.
DVDs, like the
yeah,
DVDs. You wouldn't have
exactly,
DVDs anymore.
yeah.
Exactly. I hate it when
Yeah.
when I see dates like that, and I'm like, that wasn't that long ago, and then you think about it,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was,
Mhm.
man.
Yeah, and even I don't know, even like the cars there, they look kind of old. It looks like something from the 70s.
Yeah, it's
That's,
Hmm.
scary to think that, isn't it? 2012.
Hmm.
God.
Yeah.
yeah. And like, yeah, it is. I mean, his internal monologue, it sort of it reflects his external kind of view of the world as well. I mean, some people you can might curse under your breath, but you just uh you don't really mean it. But
Yeah.
he was just a nasty piece of work all around.
Which goes to how good his performance is too, because if you think about it, visually he's expressing everything that you're
Mhm.
hearing, even
Mhm.
though obviously he wasn't saying it and stuff. So he knows what's going to happen in the script or what point in time. So they did a really good job of syncing that voiceover with his performance, even though they would have been done at separate points in
Oh,
the filming process.
I wondered if they played the voiceover as he's reacting to his own
Mm,
voice, because that would make more sense, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Well,
maybe that's what they
Yeah.
did.
I actually did wonder, was that his own voice? And when I checked the credits afterwards, and there was no extra credit for a voice. Seemed to be him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, that was quite one thing that was I found about annoying about Amuleto, where we saw it. That like I was reading the credits, and next minute, boom, these big banners came
Oh,
up.
you can't read them. Yes, you can't read the people's names sometimes. Yeah.
Mm,
And you can't click off the banners for or other
Oh yeah,
films.
no.
I know what
Yeah.
you mean. Yeah, at the end, you have to go to IMDb if you want to see the credits.
Yeah, but it won a rake of awards as well. You could see,
Yeah, well deserved.
and
Yeah,
well,
totally well deserved.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
All right. Well, I guess rate
Mm.
it then.
Mm.
as
Call?
well. So as I said at the top, this was a film that excelled in every department. Um, and yeah, you could say it was a perfect length, but I mean, I was sort of already a little bit disappointed when it finished. Um, but anyway, I'll give it 5 stars.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm kind of a toss-up between 4 and 5, but I really can't think of any reason to give it a 4. I mean, it's such a well-made film across the board, so I'm going 5 as well.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I was going to go for, I was tossed between 4 and 5, but again, there is nothing to fault about this film. It created what I said to create and the atmosphere and everything, and loved the ending. Perfect length, brilliant acting, and brilliant voiceover. So 5 stars for me as well. Yeah.
There you have it, No Budget Filmcast audience. We really enjoyed this film. It's called 82. Is that correct,
Yeah.
Claire?
82. Yeah.
82. You can find it right now on the Omeletto YouTube channel. So check it out and let us know what you think. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at No Budget Show. You can leave a comment below or reach out to us on one of those social media channels. And with that, we'll say see you next time and goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.